Hey guys, I'm Alfred Spot and welcome to week 2 of the Premier League review. If you are new to this series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table and finish by looking at the top goal scorers. So here is a list of the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 19th, Sunday the 20th and Monday the 21st of August 2017. Next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Swansea versus Manchester United. Manchester United were the better side for most of the first half, but it would take them until pretty much the final kick of the half for them to find the net. It came when Paul Pogba thinks he has brought the deadlock after he hit a thunderous header, but Fabianski brilliantly tips the ball onto the bar and back down, but the ball did not cross the line, but in came Eric Bailly to put the ball into the net for his first goal for Manchester United. And it would take it to the final 10 minutes for this game to spring back to life, and in the 80th minute, Romelu Lukaku scored with pretty much his first chance of the game. It came following a great ball from Henrik Mkhitaryan into the box, and the Belgian latches onto it and finishes with ease past the goalkeeper. And 2 minutes later, Man United killed the game when Paul Pogba made it 3-0. Yet again, Henrik Mkhitaryan made the goal as he found some space on the right hand side before placing the ball in the box for the in-running Pogba, and the Frenchman calmly chipped the ball into the net. And a minute later, Anthony Martial made it 4-0 to United. Goal scorer became goal creator as Paul Pogba threaded a lovely pass to Martial. The Frenchman ran up to the edge of the box with ease and then rolled the ball into the back of the net. And that's how the game would end. I can tell you now, this is the best Manchester United have looked since Sir Alex retired. 2 4-0 wins in a row. They've barely put a foot wrong, and I can only see them being at the very top of the table come the end of the season. And we move on to Southampton versus West Ham. The game got its first goal in the 11th minute when Manolo Gabbiadini got Southampton's first goal at St Mary's Stadium for 6 games. It came when Gabbiadini plays a 1-2 with Nathan Redmond, and the Italian striker ended up slotting the ball past Joe Hart. And West Ham's afternoon will get a lot harder when they were reduced to 10 men when Marko Arnautovic got sent off. It was a weird one, as it looked like Arnautovic just elbowed Jack Stephens like a completely unprovoked attack, I think is the right word. No complaints. He literally ran up behind him, and as he's running past, the ball is nowhere near Jack Stephens at this point. Arnautovic just elbowed him in the face. Like, I just don't get it. You're a thug. And 5 minutes later, Southampton got the perfect chance to double their lead when they were given a penalty. It was former Southampton man Jose Fonte's wrongdoing as he dragged Stephen Davis down in the box, and the ref pointed to the spot. Dusan Tadic stepped up and he smashed his spot kick straight down the middle, and it did go in via the deflection off of Joe Hart's legs. He almost got there, but as we all know, Joe Hart is incompetent. But West Ham reduced the deficit to 1 just before the half-time break when Javier Hernandez got his first goal for his new club. It came when Mikel Antonio got himself some room and he had a shot from distance. Fraser Forster is only able to parry the shot straight into the path of Chicharito, and he tapped in from close range. And West Ham levelled the game up in the 73rd minute when Javier Hernandez got his and West Ham's second. Yet again, it was pretty poor marking from Southampton after Diafra Sakho's header comes back off of the bar and no one is picking up Hernandez, and the former United man was able to poke home. The game looked like it was going to end a draw, but cue late drama as in the 91st minute Southampton were given a penalty. It came when Maya Yoshida was brought down by Pablo Zabaleta, and the referee pointed to the spot for the second time in this match. This time Charlie Austin stepped up to take it and he finished coolly to win the game for Southampton. And that's how the game would end. A thrilling game at St Mary's. West Ham did well to get back into the game following their sending off of the number 7. In the end, I'd probably say West Ham deserved something from the game, but their defensive problems came to the forefront and that ended up costing them. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Watford. It was a pretty boring first half and it was a pretty boring second one as well, but in the 73rd minute, Watford's 20-year-old summer signing Richarlison scored his first goal for his new club. It was a goal that was made by another Watford new boy as Andre Gray rolled in a low ball into the box, and sliding in was Richarlison, but his first shot gets caught underneath Adam Smith and the ball falls loose again, and whilst he's still on the floor, Richarlison pokes the ball into the net. And Watford put the game to bed 10 minutes later when Etienne Capoue doubled the visitors' lead. It came when the ball is in the Bournemouth box and it is cleared, but only as far as Etienne Capoue, who chested it down and drilled the ball low into the net from about 25 yards out. And that's how the game ended. It was a pretty scrappy game, but a first goal from Brazilian Richarlison and a great strike from Capoue was enough to seal the win. And to be fair, Watford were knocking on the door for most of the game. Bournemouth rarely had any chances, so an away win for Watford is definitely the right result. And we move on to Leicester versus Brighton. It was a quick start to this game as less than a minute into the match, Leicester took the lead through Shinji Okazaki. It actually came from some Brighton pressure, but Leicester got the ball back and mount their own attack, and Riyad Mahrez does what they could inside from the left, take a shot at goal that should really be held by Matty Ryan, but it isn't, and it falls to Okazaki, who taps home from 6 yards out for his second goal in as many games. And Leicester doubled their lead 10 minutes into the second half when Harry Maguire got his first goal for the Foxes. It came from a corner as Riyad Mahrez sent his corner to the back post, and there to meet it was Harry Maguire, who rose higher than his man to head into the net. And that's how the game ended, and yet again, Brighton weren't that bad. They just need to finish their chances and then they could put up some fights in the future. But they kind of gifted Leicester a goal in the first minute, and from then the game always looked beyond them. Leicester pick up their first win of the season, and Brighton will need to learn from this game if they want to stay up. And we move on to Tottenham versus Chelsea. Chelsea took the lead in the 24th minute when Marcus Alonso got the opener. It came from a free kick when David Luiz was fouled on the edge of the box from Dele Alli, and Alonso stepped up to take it, and he gets the ball over the wall and it flies into the top right corner. After this, the game kind of dropped off a little bit until the final 10 minutes when Tottenham equalised when Michy Batshuayi put the ball into his own net. He was only on the pitch for about 5 minutes, and with his first touch of the ball, he ends up scoring in the wrong net. It came from another free kick as Christian Eriksen put a free kick into the box, and it was so inviting that the Belgian, for some reason, powers the header into the back of his own net. It was a great finish. But 5 minutes later, Chelsea retook the lead when Marcus Alonso got his second of the match. It was a brilliant counter-attack as David Luiz steals the ball from Moussa Sissoko, and the Brazilian finds Pedro, who lays the ball off to Alonso on the overlap, and the wing-back smashed the ball into the far corner of the net past Hugo Lloris. And that's how the game would end, and it's not the start that Spurs would have wanted in their first match at their temporary home this season. Tottenham were great in the second half, and they pushed Chelsea back, but the reigning champions defended well and did enough, and in the end they came away with the win.
And we move on to Manchester City versus Everton. It was a pretty back and forth match with both teams having chances, but it was Everton who took the lead in the 35th minute. It came seconds after Man City hit the post up the other end, and following Leroy Sané giving the ball around the right hand side, Everton broke quickly with Mason Holgate giving the ball to Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the box. Calvert-Lewin then cuts inside and lays it off to Wayne Rooney, and Rooney hits it first time in off of the post, and this goal was Wayne Rooney's 200th Premier League goal. And he is only the second man to score 200 Premier League goals, the other man being Alan Shearer. And Man City's evening will get worse as just before half-time they were reduced to 10 men when their £50 million summer signing Kyle Walker got sent off on his home debut. The first booking he can have no complaints about as he came in very late on Leighton Baines, but for the second yellow only 2 minutes later, he could have some words about that one. He was challenging Dominic Calvert-Lewin as the ball was dropping, neither of them jumped or anything. Walker just backed up into Calvert-Lewin and he goes down holding his face. Walker didn't elbow him, he might have caught him with his arm, but he clearly didn't have any intention to, but Man City had to deal with it. And after this, the game kind of went a bit quiet, a few good chances for both teams, especially Man City, and they should have scored, but Jordan Pickford pulled off some great saves to keep the horse at bay, but he was beaten eventually in the 82nd minute as Man City levelled the game up. It was the two Man City subs linking up as Danilo put the ball into the box, which is headed back across goal by Everton defender Mason Holgate, and running it into the box was Raheem Sterling, who caught the ball flush on the volley and smashed it into the bottom corner. Everton were also reduced to 10 men late on in the match when Morgan Schneiderlin got sent off as well. He was already on yellow when he came into attack with Sergio Aguero winning the ball, but Aguero goes down and the referee fell for it and showed Schneiderlin a second yellow. Wasn't a second yellow, the tackle was as clean as a whistle. And that's how the game ended, a game that was dominated by poor referee decisions as neither of them were red cards. Man City played well during the second half despite their man disadvantage and in the end probably deserved a point. And we move on to Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. It was a scrappy game from the get-go, but Liverpool had the better chances and had most of the ball and were the attacking side right out the gate. But Crystal Palace did have their chances and held off Liverpool until the 73rd minute, but Liverpool eventually did take the lead through Sadio Mane. Mane started the move and he played a 1-2 with Dom Solanke, but it did look like Palace had it dealt with, but the ball rolls kindly for Mane, who continued his run and the Senegalese poked past Wayne Hennessy. And that's how the game ended, like I said.
Scrappy game, but Liverpool did deserve the win, but it could have easily been a different game if Christian Benteke finished a certain chance, but that miss ended up costing them. Palace were much better than last week when they conceded 3 against Huddersfield. They were more solid at the back this week, but the constant pressure from Liverpool ended up getting to them, and Liverpool came away with all 3 points. And we move on to Stoke versus Arsenal. The game did start off very bright, but by the end of the first half, the game did die down a lot. But 2 minutes into the second half, Stoke took the lead when Jesse Rodriguez scored on his debut. It came when he played a 1-2 with Saido Berahino, and Berahino slipped a great ball through to Jesse, who placed the ball into the far corner past Petr Cech. And that's how the game would end. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying that they should have had 1 goal and a penalty. The penalty, yes, that was a foul. You should have had a penalty. But the goal that was ruled out for offside, now that was a brilliant spot from the linesman. He got that bang on. I don't know how he got that bang on, but he did, because that was a great call. But to be fair, Arsenal just weren't their best, especially Granit Xhaka from last week. He was bang average this week, and Mesut Ozil, he was just bang shit. And finally, a lot of people are saying Mesut Ozil for the lazy git he is. Me and Jack have been saying this for ages now. He just doesn't care. Arsenal should have had something from the game, but a dodgy decision and some poor finishing cost them coming away with anything. And we move on to Burnley versus West Brom. This match was boring until Hal Robson-Kanu came on the pitch in the 64th minute, and the Welshman gave the game a bit of excitement, as 5 minutes after he came on the pitch he put West Brom ahead. It came from nothing as the ball is just booted forwards and it's flicked on from Matt Phillips and into the path of Robson-Kanu. He got round his man, held off another one before finishing at the near post. And 10 minutes later, Hal Robson-Kanu got sent off. Yeah, it was a fair decision. He jumped into a challenge elbow first, catches Matt Lawton with it, and the ref showed Robson-Kanu straight red. And that's how the game ended. Like I said, Hal Robson-Kanu brought the entertainment with him. Burnley were wasteful with their chances, and with the signing of Chris Woods from Leeds literally just been announced about 10 minutes ago whilst I'm recording this, they'll be hoping that he can make an instant impact. But as for West Brom, they're off to a perfect start to the season. They've won 2 from their first 2 opening games, and that's the first time they've done this since 1978. And finally, we've got Huddersfield versus Newcastle. It was a battle of the promotion as Huddersfield took on Newcastle on Sunday, and it was Huddersfield who broke the deadlock 5 minutes into the second half when Aaron Moy scored a beautiful goal. It came when him and Elias Kachunga exchanged a few passes before Moy curled a great effort into the far corner from the edge of the box. And that's how the game ended. It was a pretty boring one. Nothing really to add apart from Huddersfield are looking like they could be in for a decent season. I mean, they haven't played any of the big clubs, but then again, all teams are big to them because they've never been in the Premier League before. You'd think the pressure for the players is this is the first time that most of them has been in the Premier League as well, but they seem to be dealing with it well. Newcastle, they still have some major problems. They need to sign a decent centre-back, they need a clinical finisher, they need a miracle. So that's all the fixtures I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers. Start off with the Premier League table. Start with the top 5, and as you can see, Manchester United are top following another 4-0 win this week against Swansea. Premier League new boys Huddersfield are also 2 wins from 2 after they beat Newcastle. Another team that are 100% are West Brom following their win at Burnley. Watford picked up their first win of the season after they beat Bournemouth 2-0. And Manchester City make up the top 5 following their draw against Everton. Moving on to the bottom 5, and West Ham are bottom after losing at Southampton in the highest scoring game this week. Crystal Palace are 19th following their loss to Liverpool. Brighton are 18th after they lost to Leicester. Newcastle are just outside the relegation zone after they were beat by Huddersfield. And Bournemouth make up the bottom 5 after their loss to Watford. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, the top 3 is all Manchester United, with Romelu Lukaku top after he got a goal against Swansea. That took him to 3 goals. Anthony Martial and Paul Pogba both got a goal this week. That took them both to 2 goals and 1 assist. Shinji Okazaki and Steve Mooney make up the top 5, both of them on 2 goals. So that's all I've got for you this week. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode of the Premier League Review. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can. The link is in the description, or it's at @PortionofSport_. If you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, links to both of those are in the description as well. All my channels should be popping on your screen round about now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.